What do you think of when you hear the term endangered? Many might think of animals such as the giant panda, the California condor, or the humpback chub. If you say the word endangered in the Southwest, it is possible that some might think of something entirely different. In April of 2013, the organization American Rivers named the Colorado this year's most endangered river in America. This river that serves 36 million people in some of the most arid parts of the United States is being threatened. Stretching from the Rocky Mountains in Colorado to the country of Mexico, today it comes nearly 100 miles shy of spilling into the ocean. To discover why this overtapped resource no longer completes the journey that it has made for over 6 million years, we must look to the many ways that this water is being used. In 1922, the Colorado River Compact was signed by 7 different U.S. states: Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and California all came to the table to discuss what shares or allotment each state would get from the river. Hydrologists had performed a 10-year study prior to this contract that calculated a 14 million acre-foot average water flow in the river basin. Today, we realize that 10-year study conducted on the river did not provide sufficient data for the reality of water flow in the West. That 10-year period was one of the wettest times on record when tree ring data was analyzed. In 1944, a treaty was signed with Mexico to ensure that an allotment of water was shared with them as well. 2 countries and 7 states share this river using a recognizably flawed system, and that water works hard to provide for all. Take a moment to think of the ways that you use water in your everyday life. Drinking, bathing, sanitation, cooking, cleaning, gardening, and recreation are some of the most common ways. The Colorado River flows through canyons and reservoirs, canals and treatment plants and pipes to arrive in the homes of many. Its use, however, extends far beyond the walls of homes. Agriculture and industry make up much of the river's designated use. In fact, the Colorado's contributions to the Imperial Valley of California help to grow over 1/4 of the produce consumed in the U.S. People living in northeastern cities can enjoy out-of-season strawberries in February because of this water. Industries thrive in many forms, such as factories and businesses using this water. And yet still it gives more than agriculture, industry, and personal use. Electricity is made with these waters. The dams that tame the mighty Colorado River generate power with the force of this water. The Navajo generating station near Page uses water to make coal-fired power. This electricity is used for a complex system of pumps and canals that act as straws to slurp the Colorado River into the mouths of thirsty cities. Last but not least, this grand river provides habitats for many plants and animals. It offers recreation for millions. The job description of this river and the list of those that it must serve grow longer every day. How long will it tolerate being overworked and underappreciated? Starting today, we must consider water conservation efforts that may relieve some of this pressure from the Colorado. Conservation comes in many forms, and discussions about ways to conserve may already be happening in your local community. It is fairly easy to make a list of the ways an individual can reduce the number of gallons that they summon from the tap. Take shorter showers, turn off the water while brushing your teeth, avoid watering the garden in the heat of the day, buy low water use appliances and faucets, and the list can go on. We see the physical water required to perform a task, and we can control that water in many ways. But let's think about conservation in a different sense today. Consider the last time that you went to the store. What did you buy? Where was it made? How much water was required to make it? The products that you use every day may require water in surprising ways. The clothing that you wear uses water when the cotton is grown, when the cloth is dyed, and in other stages of the fabrication. The water used to make these consumer goods falls into a category of water use now known as hidden water or virtual water consumption. Scientists have been working on these calculations recently, and what we know about our water use continues to grow with time. The following examples of virtual water consumption offer something to think about as we consider the plight of the Colorado River. Start with something as simple as a piece of paper. To understand the amount of water used to produce that sheet of paper, you must include the water it takes to grow the tree, to produce a pulp, and to bleach that paper pure white before it is pressed flat. The total amount of water can then be divided by the number of pages created in this process so that you have an average for each paper's water use. Over 2.6 gallons of water is consumed to make one piece of paper on average. Since you would probably get some strange looks at the store while trying to buy just one piece of paper, we can turn this number into something more realistic by multiplying it times the number of pages in your notebook or in a ream of printer paper. So, a 500-page ream of paper actually requires 1,321 gallons of water. Our food requires water as well. Some ways that water is used are direct and easy to see, but other ways are a bit more complex. We can all understand where the water goes when we grow fruits and vegetables. But what about animal products, or even processed foods? To make a hamburger, calculations are made for the amount of water the animal consumes in drinking water and feed crops. Wheat is then grown to make the bun, tomatoes for slicing and for ketchup. Onions, lettuce, and other toppings also use water. Totaling these ingredients and the processing along each step, such as the sanitation while preparing the ground beef, the sum averages about 660 gallons of water. Most Americans are accustomed to enjoying fries and a drink with that hamburger for over 1,220 gallons of water used. All power, aside from solar and wind energy, consumes some water as well. Even hydropower, which most consider water neutral, is often made in large-scale operations with reservoirs that are prone to evaporation from the sun. Since most of the United States is dependent on coal and nuclear energies, scientists have calculated that watching a single hour of television uses about 10 gallons of water for the average American. If you add up the water used to produce a cotton t-shirt and a pair of jeans, you end up with nearly 3,000 gallons of water spent. And ironically, a 16-ounce bottle of water takes about 3 gallons of water to make, and that doesn't actually include the water that it holds. You may remember, back to elementary school, learning about the water cycle. In each of these examples, the water that is used in each step does not disappear forever. Some water may enter streams in the form of polluted water left over from factories. All of the water that evaporates from reservoir surfaces and transpires from plants does go back into the water cycle, but that does not necessarily mean that it will return to us in a usable freshwater form. These numbers and ideas can help prepare people for making water-wise choices. What do you do with those jeans you've outgrown? That half-eaten meal that you can't finish? The appliances in your home on vacation? Do you recycle your paper, donate or repurpose clothing, and compost unwanted foods? Beyond reducing the size of landfills, these types of actions can help to conserve water. Think about it. Doesn't it make sense that the process for recycling paper requires less water than making new paper? You don't have to grow an entire tree. Some forms of recycling can also help reduce waste that forms pollution in our water sources. And in many cases, products using recycled content require fewer chemicals and harmful ingredients that also contribute to water pollution from factories. If you have never recycled before or have never taken actions to conserve water, don't worry. It's not too late. Serious conversations about human impacts to our planet can often have a tone of blame and despair, but it's important to realize that the human race has created some pretty amazing things. Making changes in the ways we consume water and regard the products that we use every day is a great start. Proposing and supporting actions by water managers to help restore some of the Colorado River's greatest features are also important actions. And also creating innovative ways to provide the water needed for larger populations of tomorrow will mean great strides in the constant battle for clean, usable water. One last thing to consider is the success story of the California condor. Human impacts to the birds caused the species to become nearly extinct in 1987. The last 22 wild condors were captured and then bred for their survival. Their population has grown, even to include new chicks hatched in the wild deserts of Utah, Arizona, and California. Possibly, in 1987, there were those with doubts about their ability to help a species so far gone. But looking now on a population of over 400, we know that people can repair some of our mistakes. The Colorado River has worked hard to share its life-giving powers with you. Now it is your turn to act.